Hi, I'm Anna of all trades, and as you can see, we have baby goats on the farm. This is so exciting for so many reasons. First of all, because it means that we have a steady milk supply again, and that means that we can make cheese and soaps and yogurts, and also it means that we've got new babies on the farm, which is always the best thing in the world. So before we get started, I would love to give a huge thank you to Audible for coming on as a sponsor for this video. Let's get started.
I get my hands dirty, they show me no mercy, so I just keep working.
I'll give you a quick introduction to our girl that is kidding very soon, I hope. This is Dolly Parton, and we have a little theme on our farm where we name all of our animals after 60s musicians. She is extremely well behaved, she's very easy to milk. She is a really great mother, and she often has multiple kids with every kidding. So she had a lot of kids the last time, and she does super well with it. She stays really healthy, aside from her weird obsession with eating rubber off of my tractor and all my vehicles, which we try to keep a really close eye on her for that. So let's talk a little bit about breeding your goats. Goats have a 145-day gestation period, and she was exposed to our buck or male goat, Zeus, who is the stinkiest creature alive, about 4 months ago, just over 4 months. So she's gonna be ready to kid here pretty quick. And you can see that she's getting quite plump. One of the things that happens when goats are about to kid is that you start to see the right side of their body start to pump up, and then you can actually feel the babies kicking, which is a pretty miraculous experience. And then the birth process itself is also one of the most miraculous things I've ever witnessed. So one really important thing to think about before you're breeding goats is, what are you going to do with the babies? I want to be extremely intentional about what it is that happens to the babies that I produce, because I am a huge proponent of finding adoptive homes for as many animals as possible and not adding to the overpopulation problem that there is with most animals. But at the same time, as a farmer, I rely on my goats to produce milk and so much of my diet that I consume on a regular basis. So before I breed my goats, I always make sure that they're extremely healthy, that they're in good bodily condition. But then also, I always make sure that I have good homes for the babies before I ever even get into the breeding process, because I want to make sure that my animals go to places where they will be loved like the way that I love my animals, and appreciated. As always seems to be the case on the farm, is that things like this never happen at a good time. This week I had an insane deadline that I had to meet. I worked about 100 hours in 5 days, which was insane, and I was just coming off an all-nighter, just coming in to check on the animals before I went and took a little nap before I had to start working again. And then I noticed that Dolly Parton was in labor. So adrenaline kicked in, and at 3:30 in the morning, we had 5 little babies, and it was absolutely wonderful. She did so great. I was watching to make sure that she passed her placenta, because that is something that needs to happen. It can actually cause all kinds of problems if she doesn't. And so it was very important that that take place. A lot of goats will eat that, and it gives them necessary nutrients that help them recover from the great stress of labor. So let's talk a little bit about the setup that we have in here. I had this ready for her when she gave birth, but of course she tried to give birth under the stairs, and so the babies came out all dirty and filthy, and I had to give them all quick baths and then blow dry them dry with a hairdryer to make sure that they were totally dry and warm before I put them into the little kennel that is wrapped for insulation purposes. It has a blanket in there also for insulation purposes, and it also has a heating blanket underneath that I will turn on intermittently so that the babies can stay warm. So here we have free choice minerals, free choice grain, chaff hay, and a little teaspoon of Molly's Mo Milk, which is a herbal powder that is basically just meant to stimulate milk production. And because she had 4 babies, which, as I mentioned, is pretty insane, she will really need to create a lot of milk to be able to keep up with production, to keep her babies strong and well fed, especially as they grow. To that end, with so many babies, I'm doing supplemental milk feedings using powdered milk that you can get from any feed store that's specifically formulated for goats. I also got replacement colostrum because this one had a really hard time eating at first, and so I definitely needed to give her colostrum to make sure that she got the necessary nutrients right after she was born. So as the farmer, it was my responsibility to make sure that she got everything that she needed, that she passed her placenta, that everything went well, that these guys, as soon as they came out, got their umbilical cords dipped in iodine to make sure that those wounds or that open flesh didn't cause issues later on. Mama also has free choice orchard grass as well as alfalfa flakes, so she can really kind of take her pick from this veritable buffet. I also would love to give a huge shout out to my friend Kate, the modern day settler, who is another homesteader and also has a YouTube channel, for walking me through some of the more challenging bits of having a mom that had 5 babies, because that's something that definitely involves a whole lot more depth of knowledge and experience than I was able to offer. Of course, we had the vet on hand and ready to call, but Kate was super generous with her time and her knowledge. This really is just so distractingly wonderful. There are a few things that I needed to have on hand in here. I have some medical supplies in here, cotton balls, gloves, a hair dryer in case they get wet in some way, or, you know, when they first came out, like I said, I had to wipe them off and make sure that they were clean. I have all kinds of fun stuff that we may need. I have iodine in a spray bottle. I have Vetricin spray. I have molasses, which actually we need to add a little to the water. And so this basically just keeps mom from, it makes the water taste really, whoa. Let's not get too excited. It makes the water taste really good. And that really just helps her to stay hydrated. She really likes molasses. Also, because her milk had not come in yet when the babies were born, I gave her a drench of CMPK solution. I also have a baby bottle of colostrum. I have little clippers and scissors in case I need them, gloves in case I need them. For later on, I have worming gel. I also have a set of Pritchard nipples, which can be mounted on any water bottle or soda bottle or anything. But for some reason, little baby did not want to latch onto this, so we ended up giving her a baby bottle instead. With any bottle feeding or any drenching or anything, we have to make sure that they're completely dry before we put them back down here. It is thankfully starting to really warm up around here, and I wish I would have brought down another washcloth because we just got ours dirty, but I'm just going to use my filthy sweatshirt. The best day of my life was the first time I was ever able to deliver baby goats, and it was a very stressful labor. The mom actually ended up her life was in danger, and I had to actually go in and pull one of the goat kids out, but literally that was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had in my life, saving my goat's life and then also saving the life of a baby goat as well. We always call that goat the Trojan goat because it had babies on Adam's birthday, and in his mind ruined his birthday because it stole all of his thunder because it was such a fun experience that first time. And Adam, as some of you may know, is the biggest supporter of this farm, but it in fact is not his passion, it is mine. And so he always said, I'm never getting any goats, but then has been so gracious to allow me to pursue my farming dreams and get my goats and all my other animals as well. But for them to have the audacity to have more baby goats on his birthday was pretty much the last straw for him, and I've never heard the end of that one. The really cool thing about these little babies is that they look exactly like their parents. They have beautiful blue eyes. There's 2 boys and 2 girls that made it through. They're healthy, they're happy, and really there's nothing better in the world than watching baby goats jumping around and being silly little geese. As I mentioned at the beginning, Audible sponsored this video, and it is a no-brainer for me to shout from the rooftops about Audible because it's something that I use all the time, both in the shop and in the garden. I am a voracious reader, and while life has sped up incrementally over the last few years for me, it is wonderful to be able to listen to books and still keep up with my regular pace of reading. So that's, you know, an 8-hour day in the shop allows me to listen to a full book, and if I spend a full week in the shop, I mean, that's 7 books under my belt, and Audible is a fantastic service for that. They have an unmatched number of books on their platform. Lately, I've been re-listening to one of my favorite books of all time, Love Does by Bob Goff. And it's one of my favorite books because it's the embodiment of how I want to live my life, as far as seeking community and living life with love as a verb and showing up for people and saying yes to every opportunity. So if you would like to listen to Love Does, go ahead and go to audible.com/AnnofAllTrades or text AnnofAllTrades to 500-500. Audible members can choose 3 titles every month, 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals you can't hear anywhere else. Audible members also get access to exclusive audio fitness programs. Members get a credit good for any audiobook, regardless of the price, and unused credits roll over to the next month. Didn't like your audiobook? Exchange it, no questions asked. With Audible, you own your books, so your books are yours to keep, and you can go back and re-listen anytime, even if you cancel your membership. So if you want to enrich your life by listening to audiobooks, then go ahead and go to audible.com/AnnofAllTrades. That's audible.com/AnnofAllTrades, or text AnnofAllTrades, ANNEOFALLTRADS to 500-500. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and for supporting my channel in that way. As always, you can support me on Patreon, and if you checked out my awesome t-shirt, you can find the whole Fluffy Butt crew on my bonfire link, which is also below. I hope you leave this video feeling challenged, inspired, and excited to do things with your own hands as well. Cheers.